you ready to discover who you came here to be? Welcome to the Human Design and Astro Club podcast. Human design is a system and a tool that is here to empower you and show you your greatest potential. Come learn with us and discover who you really are. Hi friends, Krystle here. New year and new you, and boy, do we have some new tools for you to help you transform your life into the one you have always dreamed of. We have some new ways for you to connect with us outside of the show. So we have a free guide on tips and tricks to honoring your strategy and authority. We also have a language manual to your true self to help you understand the key terms in human design and how to apply them to reading your human design chart and also to your life. And we are so happy to announce doors are now open for the Cosmic Community, which is a no commitment or 5-month commitment package to connecting with us over in our private Facebook group. You will have the chance to connect with Leah and myself each month with our premium episodes through our Program Plus monthly forecast. There's also weekly aura energy updates, weekly tarot card pulls connected to a human design gate, monthly market shares for fellow entrepreneurs to share their work, and exclusive bonus content you will not be getting anywhere else from us. Come join the Cosmic Community to understand how to utilize the transits to your advantage and have a safe space to learn, grow, and connect. And we also have our children's class called Nurture Your Child Through Their Design. And our most popular classes are our variable mini classes, which are bite-sized, self-paced audios and guidebooks on the first 2 transformations. And if you want to stay connected with some education and love from us, join our email list and check out our website, which you can find that and every offer I just discussed down below in the show notes. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you over on our next episode. Welcome to the Human Design and Astro Club podcast. I'm Krystle, and it's just me. Well, sort of. Leah's not here, but I do have a special guest. I am going to introduce right now Dave Myers from neutrinoradio, and he creates human design content. And when I tell you that it's not just human design content, because human design content has gotten a little stale, a little boring. Even for myself, I can say as a generator, I'm like, you need to step it up, because when I look at Dave's work, I'm like, wow, he like brings it to life. And Dave is a 5/2 emotional manifester. And I believe he takes us on his ride, his wave, and it's brilliant. So welcome, Dave. How you doing?
I am fine. How are you?
Good. I feel like this is going to be an interesting conversation between a manifestor and a generator. We bridge a few of each other's hanging gates, and you bridge one of my splits. So I think this is going to be a fun conversation.
Indeed. Yes.
For the YouTube people, definitely watch our mannerisms.
Yeah, for those of you watching the video version, which exists in case you didn't know, available on YouTube. Yes, we're putting our hands up in like a victorious gesture.
I feel like that is very 2551, the channel of initiation. It's like, yes, like we're going on the path now.
Jumping over the chasm.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
We get each other. So tell us a little bit about yourself, and then also how long you've been in your human design experiment and anything else you want to share in relation to that.
Let's see. I'm like a 50-year-old white guy um,
This
from
is gonna be fun.
Chicago. And I'm going to be 50 in a week, or not a
Oh
week,
wow.
a month, a couple few weeks. Feels like a week.
It's tomorrow.
um, and yeah, I mean, I'd been doing human design for 3 years. So I was a chef at like a health food company doing research and development, like developing recipes.
Hmm.
And I mean, also that's what I was doing for a career, like for the like that particular company I was at for 10 years as a chef, but I was working in kitchens forever. And just one of the people at the company found human design
Hmm.
and started asking everybody what their birthday is. And in retrospect, it was, I'm sure, very annoying for most people in the company.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that it was actually, for some of them. Um, but I, because I just kept I was having meetings with this person for work reasons, working on projects. And she would just sort of casually be like, so, the manifestors are like this, or, when you walk into a room, this is what happens if you don't inform, blah, 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 and and I was just all these little things about like, you're like a big boat in a small harbor, like you, and just all this just sort of started to be like, okay, none of this doesn't make sense. Like what? And it started to build up this understanding that it like, I have this sort of, I haven't really tapped into my potential, how my energy works, and that I
Mm.
can actually be really, more powerful. Because I was sort of like a bitch at this company. Like
Oh.
I was an executive, but I wasn't like invited to the retreats and stuff anymore.
Oh.
And it was just sort of like, man, y'all ain't
Well,
don't
a little
understand
repelling.
me and shit. And like, yeah, sure. But I was just kind of, um, constantly felt underappreciated
Mm.
and stuff. And then it came time for my evaluation. and and so it sort of was this practical reason to, I was like, okay, I'm gotta like renegotiate my salary and like literally like pick a new person to report to, because it didn't make sense that I was like, now that I had a manager above me, which I'd been the manager before, like it didn't make sense for me to report to that person because like he was managerial and I was creative. It was just like, how is this gonna, so there's like all this negotiation, and it was like, I know how I'm gonna try to get a computer out of this. I was just like, I need to tap into this manifester thing
Mm-hmm.
and walk into this evaluation with like some extra confidence and some, I don't know, what is this, like, how I didn't, it seemed like now I know that I don't look at it as this self-helpy sort of, self-improvement thing.
Mm.
We've got language for that now, like being in the system, which sounds terrible to call it that, but in our experiments
Which do you
using the
prefer?
system.
You prefer experiment?
Well, it's both, but I
Yeah.
mean, thus being in the system doesn't have a good, that
It
has
does
another
feel a little
meaning that
homogenized saying it that way, like trying
it's,
to put everybody in back in the box. Like get back in the system. Get back
yeah,
in line, guys.
it's not, that's the wrong phrase, but it is a system
Mm-hmm.
of knowledge. But anyways, we don't, people that are purists, let's say,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know
but
what you're
they
talking about.
like reject this idea of human design being some tool for like living your best life. It's not, But at the time,
But it is.
it is, but it's not the best life that you think it is,
Yes, no, that is
It's
true.
like,
That is, it's
you
exactly
know,
opposite of what you probably are imagining in your mind.
yeah, it's not a it's not the vision board version of that you think it is.
No.
So, but at the time it was like, okay, this is self-empowering. I need to find out more about this and I need to do it soon, you know? And so finally I was like, okay, um, what are these audios? I said I should listen to something. And so she just gives me a link to Jovian and tells me to listen to the Manifestor signature audio just to get started on it. So this one Saturday, I sat down and listened to that. And then I listened to all the other signatures. And then I listened to every audio that was on Jovian. And then just, then I went it was January 25th, 2019.
Oh, wow.
And, 2020, sorry.
Okay.
Um, and I went to a bookstore and called her and I was like, so what book should I buy? She's like, you can't get it at a bookstore. Don't buy any of those books. And and then another friend of mine lent me the definitive book. But it was just on from there. And it was no longer, as soon as I figured, just as soon as I listened to Ra talk and just sort of got the gist of what the whole thing was, it wasn't it was no longer just like, okay, well, I'm just going to use this as some tool. It was like, oh, this is the rest of my life.
Yeah.
This is, how the universe works. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Like
So
literally, like it's like it expands out so far that people can't grasp that part. And that's where I feel like my gate 43 is like ahead of its time, where I'm like, people, we need to be using the transits. The transits are here to support you if you know what's happening every second of every day. Sorry, I get a little extreme. I have gate 15.
but I even can't, it's like, you don't need to do anything
No, you
other
don't.
than, I mean, you should do strategy and authority. I mean, and we don't even say should ever, but,
Yeah.
and that's all it really has to be. I mean, the transits, like, they, they come in handy when they come in handy. And sometimes I don't look at them for days,
Mm-hmm.
and
Sometimes I like to just kind of like forget what I knew was going on and just kind of like live my life and then go backwards and look at, well, what was in transit when I was doing this? And it's
mm,
always like such in alignment. But sometimes I like to go back to, I guess I'll use in air quotes, normal, of not knowing what's really happening and just kind of just like going with the flow with being a generator and then just like seeing if I was like look backwards, like with my first line, I'm like, let me do a little investigation research from like my third line body experience.
yeah. And I mean, um, you're interested in that. So it's like, that's what gets you excited about human
Mm-hmm.
design. But like, you could be totally, completely 100% into HD and not even, transits could not even be part of your trip,
Uh-huh.
you
Yeah, for
know?
sure.
And I'll honestly, like, this is starting to happen again right now. I go through these phases where I can't study HD.
Mm-hmm.
I just will
Everybody
not.
does.
And it just puts me off frequency, like, to listen to anything, to read anything, to even think about it. And I used to get discouraged when that would happen
Mm-hmm.
and just be like, oh, I guess I'm done with human design. Like and just this feeling of like, well, I finished. I'm no longer interested in this. And but
I feel
it
like that's a
always comes
processing
back.
time though. I like it's like integration periods of where like you really have to allow whatever you've been either taking in
Yeah,
or experimenting with to just kind of like settle.
exactly.
And then all of a sudden you'll get for you an urge, for me a response, and I'll be like, okay, I gotta go get some more lectures. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, somebody tell me what else I need to know. How much deeper can I go now? And then I eat it, eat it, eat it. And then I'm like, okay, I gotta rest again. Like we all go through that. And that's one thing that I actually learned when I worked at the Kabbalah Center. I worked there for 3.5 years. And so there would be all these people like similar with human design, like so invested in Kabbalah. They would come to every event, everything that was going on. And so every class. And so then I wouldn't see them for a while because I was there like almost every day. So I was like, where are these people? And then I go up to a teacher. I'd be like, what happened to so and so? They're like, oh, they're on a Kabbalah break. I was like, what is that? I was like, what do you need? What are you taking a break for? But it's
Mm-hmm.
this there, and I often wonder, like, is there a relation here with the Kabbalah tree of life where it's just like, I feel like it's like ascension. It's a pathway to ascension, is what the Kabbalah tree of life is. And so I feel like we're all kind of like going on our little path. And every so often, we have to like stop and take a little break, a little breather. All of us, every single type, just being human. Like you
Yeah.
have to take breaks.
Mm-hmm. Or at least from, I mean, here's the thing. I used to get totally discouraged to be like, okay, well, suddenly the thing, it's like being addicted to a drug and then suddenly the drug doesn't do anything for you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so to be like, oh, what am I supposed to do now? Like, there's nothing that can replace this in my life. And I'm talking about studying, just like
Yeah,
knowledge. I want to say consumption, but it's more like feasting. It's like
I know.
the goblin just like eating without its hands, just so I but it would be like, okay, well, I thought this was, my path to like a new career or a
Mm,
new, it was my whole source of like my entire social life at this point. And now I just don't give a shit about it anymore.
mm,
Like, what am I going to do with my life? And I'd just be so discouraged. It's like if you could no longer paint or something. It was,
mm,
and so, but I guess I just had to learn that it's just that it really is temporary. There's no way that I'm not gonna always do this because it's that thing you can't unsee. It's the genie you
yeah.
can't put back in the bottle,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Agreed.
just always it's just going to be there forever now. And so, but the experiential part of it doesn't go away. Like you still know when something's not right for you, and you
Mm-hmm.
still kind of like, you have your cognition is still there, you're still deconditioning, you're still doing all the things because you know what your type is, and you can't help but be your type after a while.
Yeah. You're always your type. I mean, even when you're in your not self, you're still your type.
Right.
You
Well,
really
you're
can't, you cannot escape your aura if you tried. Like
right.
I have leopard spots tattooed to the back of one of my arms. And this was before finding human design. And I wanted so badly to be the cheetah. And that is the manifester. The cheetah is the manifester. And I wanted so badly to be the cheetah. And I still run, but I used to race people. I have the hanging 25. And so I used to race kids like in school, and I was always like kind of like the cheetah, and I felt like the cheetah, but like also like just like my pretend mask. And I realized after I got the tattoo in a few years when I got into my experiment, I was like, just a wannabe manifester. which I feel like most generator types are, because it just like it, you guys to me are just so mysterious and so alluring. And I feel like the generator is not really that mysterious. You're like shaking your head.
Well, just the nature of it is so, the generator is so enveloping. It's just like, come on
Like I'm
into my
so
aura.
open. I can't close it. Even
Yeah.
if I tried closing doors, it would just like literally me just like I'd have to like leave. Like that's me. That's me closing the doors, just leaving your aura because like me standing there, like I feel I don't know if other generators feel this way. And I also feel like this has to do with my open throat as well. Like I feel naked, like when I walk into a room, like everybody turns and looks at me. And I'm like, whoa, what'd I do?
I mean, that's kind of a manifestor trait.
To have everybody turn and look at you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's my defined heart or like what that or like just being completely open there, like completely open throat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like it can be it's sometimes I can just be so I think it's the magnetizing. Like people like the light came in the room is kind of like
Oh,
the way
sure.
the way that I
Yeah.
see that.
What is this bright, shiny light that has just graced us with its presence? Oh, it
Yeah.
is the generator.
People say that. They're like, you are just so like light filled and like
Sure.
exciting. And like people call me like this little fairy now. And I'm like, because I'm actually very short. So I'm like, I'll take it. I love fairies. I really do. So
Sure. Now, I know some of my generator friends are the sparkliest people,
yeah.
and it's hilarious when we're together because I'm just like the total Eeyore guy, and
Yeah.
it's just like, how you doing?
I know.
And I'm like, I'm fine. And they're
Like
just like,
jazz
I
hands.
bet you. Yeah. And it's just sort of like, are you in a bad mood? I'm like, yes, I am. It's like, oh, you know,
I'm also a Sagittarius sun, so it's like extra bubbly when I'm like really magnetic because I just and then I get because I have an open throat, I just get louder. So it's like you can't miss me when that's happening.
hmm
And a lot of times when we're like the most magnetic is when other people try to dim that down because it's like you're shining too bright. And that's where a lot of times with our open undefined centers, we can get a little bit uh the not self-reserved, closed off, shrinking. And sometimes when I'm like, oh, I'm being too seen, my open throat's like, well, now I have to like shrink down. Do you feel that way with like your open undefined centers, like with your sacral? Have you felt that way like with work, like we were just talking about your last job? I don't know if that was your last job, but
We kind
or
yeah,
last career,
it
I
was.
guess.
Yeah. Like overseen? Is that what you mean? Like
Like
too
we're
exposed?
yeah, too yeah, I guess too exposed and where it's like people see too much of that area and you feel like that means that like it's like when you shine too bright in one place that's negative from society, so I have to dim that area down a little bit to be more watered down and neutral for everyone to be able to handle me. Are you at the or were you never like that because you're a manifester?
Hmm. I guess I can sense when I'm a little bit overwhelming to
Hmm.
some people, or like annoying. Like it's so different now than it used to be. Like I
Yeah.
and then, I started my experiment at um like less than 2 months before COVID,
Yeah.
so there wasn't a lot of, and everything that's happened since I started my experiment has been, since everything is different anyways, so I don't, some things I can't accurately make it comparisons
Or if you
for
just
the
remember
before and
back
after,
to
but
your past self, even before finding human design, like we just like, I always like the fact when I found out I had an open throat, I was like, of course, you know, I'm
I
just
think
like,
the
that's
one that's
100% correct.
the most effective, like that I most feel insecure about, I guess, would be like the undefined ajna.
Hmm.
Just, and that's kind of like my open throat. They're just sort of like, you don't have to prove it. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to do, just because you have something, experience with what's being talked about doesn't mean you have to share it. Like, or maybe that's a circuitry thing, but um I guess like yeah, but just like I thinking back to when I should have just shut the fuck up or something. And then there's the ego. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm really answering your question.
You feel like you're, so are you saying
But
that you
it's
feel like
not the
your
secret.
undefined ajna is your most insecure center? If like you had to
Well,
pin
that I
it.
notice because the ego, I guess, would have to do more with overall insecurity or self worth or whatever. Um, but as far as what's like wanting my feeling like I need to tone something down,
Mm-hmm.
I guess that would largely be the. I don't know. I've never had to think about this,
Okay. Sorry. I think about
but
it all the time.
the I guess that yeah, the ajna just like trying to prove that I know
That
things
you're
like that.
certain and that you have an
Yeah,
opinion, like you have a strong opinion to share.
yeah, and just sort of like beating on my chest with like being like righteous with my ideas and stuff.
Mm-hmm. That
Um,
can also be open, undefined, hardy too.
yeah, I guess so.
Maybe so.
I don't know.
Maybe
Let's
it's a
just tell
twofer. A
everybody my.
twofer.
By the way, everyone, I have all the brown things defined. So I've got throat to the solar plexus defined with the 1222 and the 3536, and then I have the root to the spleen defined with the 3254. So I don't have any completely open centers.
Hmm.
Um, and my undefined centers
I feel like
include the head and
lucky.
ajna
I
and
feel like
then
people that have just undefined centers, like at least you got a little bit of a buffer, a little bit of a place to pull from, a little bit. Like I have an open head, an open throat, and an open solar plexus. And those are my three most overwhelming places. My open head, now that I have the awareness around it, it doesn't really bother me as much as any of the other open undefined centers. I can usually catch that one the quickest because I know when I feel the pressure coming in from up there now. Um, but the open throat mostly is my probably most triggering area. And I often wonder if that's because the majority of the population actually is defined. It's like I always knew that I lived in a world that was not, I
well,
don't
they
know if,
say that that's the hierarchy, not of not of um authorities, but the hierarchy
right.
of like noticing of like the outward
Yeah, the most
nature
triggering of the
of the
centers.
open centers of the throat is like the most noticeable, the one. Like it starts with the throat.
Hmm.
I do believe.
Is it?
That's what
I'm gonna
I.
have to go check. It's been a while since I know exactly what you're talking about, but it's been a while since I've seen that. I
Well,
thought
probably because of the attention needing. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
I
It's like
really do want
gets the most
attention.
attention.
I do want it. And now I'm at the point of, well, fuck it. I'm just gonna fucking want it now. Like, why? Like, literally, everybody wants attention. If that wasn't true, then we would not have social media. The like button wouldn't be available, and everybody's afraid that nobody likes them. That's why we have now the like button hidden. I'm just like, can we just remove the like button at this point? Nobody really wants it there because it's like destroying people's lives. Um, but Yet everybody wants it, but nobody can support anybody because we have too many defined throats, and you guys are too concerned with your own expression and everything that's going on internally with your own words that you can't even see outside of yourselves half the time because you're so tone deaf. Sorry, I have this whole rant about this, and I
I
didn't
mean,
mean to
what's the
take you on
deal?
that.
Do your shtick.
Sorry. My open throat goes on these rants, and then I'm like, you need to bring that back in. But people tell me they like them, so I just keep doing them at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But but you know what I'm saying though, with the attention, like if not everybody, we all want it. It's the problem is there's too many defined throats that no one's willing to share it. Everyone wants to hog the spotlight, and they're so wrapped up in their own internalness that they can't see outside of themselves. Like it's almost like if we could all just kind of
Share
share
the
the
spotlight with the
yeah.
open throats.
Well, not just with me, but your other defined throats too. Just like share the spotlight, period.
Oh,
Like no
just
one's
like
doing it.
people in society, like just
Yeah.
generally. And
Yes.
I don't know about that.
I don't
No, no. Whoever gets the most attention wins, and
see.
eventually someone will get all of the attention,
See, that's but
every last bit of it.
that's the matrix. That is the illusion of the matrix, that we all have to get the coins, right? And once you get all the coins, then you have all the attention, everybody likes you, and but no one's enjoying the ride.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean, if we just do this human design thing right, then we don't. None of this matters at all.
Exactly. That is true. That's why I do have a mission to spread it to as many people as possible, because it's time. We're at this huge transition now. You like talking about 2027? I I love talking about 2027 because I was studying it before I even knew what 2027 was. And like with Kabbalah says a lot of similar stuff too. And so I'm just like, oh wow, this is like literally happening. And when 2020 happened and everything happened with, the lockdowns, COVID, I was like, oh, here we go. I was like, here we go. Cause I learned about all of this in 2017. Hi, friends. Okay, I know you've already heard me come on here once before, but I have a very important message for you. Are you an entrepreneur, a fellow weirdo, looking to reach an audience on an offer, a program, a reading, a product that you're looking to sell? We have the channel of the entrepreneur, and we're looking to create very specific commercials for other entrepreneurs such as ourselves. If you're looking to get your voice out there, we have over 15,000 plays on this podcast, plus a YouTube channel, and we can create a very specific commercial for you to reach our audience and your message. Go down below in our description and fill out the form because there's an introductory offer waiting for you. See you over on the rest of this episode. How do you feel about the 7-year deconditioning process? Like when you heard about it, or like, do you ever think about it? Like, do you feel like that's like super accurate? Oh, we got a new guest.
It makes sense. Yeah, that's Grendel.
Hi.
Say hello, Grendel.
Hi,
Did you want to say
Grandal.
something? You almost said something out loud, didn't you?
Oh, seems super sweet. Is it boy?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy
Oh, he
cats are so sweet.
just might not leave me alone at this point, so we'll see.
It's okay. You can be
Oh my
the good
god.
visual.
So it's cute for a minute and then it just becomes so annoying with the little claw stickies.
Yeah.
Um 7 years. It makes sense. Especially with the cell regeneration
Regenerating,
thing and
yeah.
7-year itch and the
Seven's a big number. I mean, it's an up level number in numerology, seven.
Mhm.
And seven also actually represents the aura.
Does it?
Yeah, it does.
Um, well, well then, even more validation.
I know. If you think about it, so okay. So you have the six lines, right? And then the seven is the inner circle. Like if you look at there's a crystal grid called I'm really into grids and all this stuff, and I actually made a whole body graph grid system. I won't get into that right now. But um so there's a grid called the seed of life. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It is actually I have a visual. Hold on a second. Hold on.
Okay.
My channel of surrender wants to come out for a second. So I made this grid. I made this grid. This is the seed of life. So I made this grid. This is for the cosmic community, by the way. If you join the cosmic community, you get our guidebook with your forecast, your monthly forecast. And this is in the guidebook, one of the things, a grid. So, and I encourage people to print it out and use the grid. So you have the circle in the middle. This represents source. Okay, this is where we come from. And then we have the six lines outside of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is the seed of life. This is everything in this. This is everything.
I see that.
So 7.
Hooray. Yeah, I mean,
Just more confirmation.
do you should we Wikipedia the number 7?
We
See if
could,
there's
if you want. Should we tell everybody more things about the number 7?
I don't know. We could.
This is turning into an educational episode on the number 7 in relation to everything: human design, uh, numerology,
Let's
crystal
see.
grids, life, all of it.
7 colors in the rainbow. Is that
Oh,
true?
yeah.
I'd say there's 6. 7
Well,
continents, 7 seas.
lots of
Um,
7.
the neutral pH balance,
All right.
number of notes in a musical diatonic scale,
Wow. Yeah.
number of spots most commonly found on ladybugs. Well, that's it right there. I
Okay.
think
It's
we've
confirmed.
we have nailed
7
down the
is
most
literally everything.
significant property. Ow! That hurts
Oh,
so much, but
no.
you put your claws into my skin and pierce my I was trying to think of the scientific word for skin. Epidermis
Epidermis.
with your dirty little poo poo claws.
We just went on a wave with you.
Atomic number for nitrogen, 7.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of things.
Literally that's 7 is everything. That's what 7 is.
When guessing numbers from 1 to 10, the number 7 is most likely to be picked.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, it goes on and on.
7's a pretty big deal.
So, anyways, yeah, you guys, 7.
So yeah, what
7.
it's like starting over, but at a different level, if you think about it. Because the 6, right, is like I've gone through all the experiences. I'm at this completion, but yet I have this wisdom to me. And then it's like after that, it kind of starts all over, but you don't forget everything that you knew before that. So 7 is like the up level number.
It's I don't know what to say. Yes. So therefore, every 7 years something happens in human design, blah blah blah.
Yeah. I feel like you reach this next version of you at that point.
Yeah.
That's
I'm very curious to see how it goes in the next
uh,
4 years.
I'm in almost
4 years from now.
6 years. And I will say for me, and everybody's, goes through different experiences. I can only speak about my own, but I feel like it was really between like year 4 and 5 that I really started to fully surrender. Like where they talk about like, and I feel like I don't want to get on this subject, but I'm just going to say it like with the no choice. Like that's for me where that came in. Like I have no choice but to be myself. I know too much. My body knows too much at this point. My mind has now surrendered to form where it just wants to do whatever form says because it's realized that it knows way more than it's like once the mind has like a job, like I've told my mind, like, oh, you're really good at looking at this or you're really good at watching this. Why don't you go do those things? And we'll just let, form take the role, take the lead. They're like, oh, okay. It's like once the mind actually knows, like it doesn't have to be in control, it really does settle. I don't know if you've experimented or experienced that yourself, but that's something that I really realized probably, or more so, it's not that I realized, it's more so that I guess I allowed was between year 4 and 5.
Yeah, I mean, passenger consciousness is that's my jam right there. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what it's all about from since I started. I mean, that was what made sense to me because I'd already sort of like experimented with that idea without having the language or the this process to do
Mm-hmm.
it. But yeah, it's telling the letting the mind take the back seat, and it I constantly am telling. I call it my personality Percy and
Yeah,
my
I like
my
that.
design Desi, and so it's gotten to the point where I'm just like Percy, stop it, stop, or like shut up, and but the thing is, and Rob mentions this all the time, and it's absolutely true. Is like your mind, it's not persistent.
Mm.
It will sort of put its tail between its legs and go find something else to
Mm-hmm.
think about, some other thing to be like, what about this? What about that? You should be thinking about this. You should be doing this. And the more often you're just like, dude, I'm not listening to you. Like you got to leave me alone with this thing. Like I know what you're doing. And then the mind has to be like, uh,
Yeah, it doesn't know
okay,
what to do after that.
and that's to me an indication that that's what it was. It was my mind trying to run the show. And there's obviously things that you remember that you have to do, and sometimes you got to do them,
Right.
obviously. But most of the time, especially when you like get up to take a piss in the middle of the night, it's like we're not thinking about our taxes right now. There's absolutely no reason to do it. Like it's not gonna. We're not doing them right now. You can't. Business hours. It,
Maybe you do
are,
need to give your mind business hours. Being like,
exactly.
you can run the show just to feel good about yourselves.
Mm,
It's like the dog that's on the rope, the long lead, where it like thinks it can just kind of like do its own thing, but only in its own space. And it's almost like the mind kind of needs like its
some
little
just
space
you have
and
to appease
time.
it here and there.
Yeah, just like give
Be
it like
like,
let it
okay,
think
it's
it's
your
a it, yeah.
birthday. You got like half an hour of control. Something Jonah was saying. Uh, I'm sure that it was like back in July. There's my rightness coming through
Yeah.
on one of his videos about uh, how first color appetite people would benefit probably from eating second color as well. Like
Yeah, I do think there is a huge connection with the first and second color. Like they both relate to each other. I did a membership for a while with variables, and that was one thing that I actually noticed was the people that were the first and second color really did have a lot of similarities and a lot of understanding with each other, and they could have conversations with each other about certain things. So I definitely do agree with that, that there's a lot of truth to that.
I mean, I don't even know what his reasoning for it was, but I took it to heart because I had
Well, they're
been.
the preppers. I feel like the first and the second line, like you guys like to kind of like because I think because you guys are so simple, both of you, the first and the second, it's almost like it's best if you guys plan your meals out and know what you're like preparing to eat, because for a lot of you it's like I can't just go get like go to like a fast food place and get their food because it's too much ingredients and it's too much for my system. And so you guys are constantly preparing your own foods. And so I feel like there's some sort of connection there with that and like the simpleness between the two of you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think that also your body sort of when you do eat something on a regular basis, you're not surprising your body in
Mm-hmm.
any way. So the even though it's not a single ingredient, it's like your body knows how to
It's still a
process it
similar
anyways.
thing. Like,
It's like I know I do like one, two, three, four ingredient things and
mm-hmm.
mostly, and I also cheat like all the time. And
Everybody cheats. Listen,
um
I go out
but
to eat.
just
I
so
have such
everyone
a
knows, like I'm
contradiction. I have a contradiction. I'm kitchen's environment and I'm calm determination. Do you know how annoying that is? Do you know how annoying? Do
nice.
you know how annoying it is to want to and know that I should be eating alone, which I do the majority of the time. My husband hates me for this. I'll sometimes I'll sit at the table or whatever. A lot of times I end up having like work to do at night, so I'll just eat by myself. Um, but when we go out to eat, I've realized I have a few different situations I can do. I can either, if we eat outside where there's not a lot of tables together and like there's not a lot of people and there's not a lot of action happening and it's just like an open, really open area, I can do that. It's when we're inside an area where there's a lot of congestion and a lot of people talking, and all I hear is this. My nervous system starts to clench. Anytime I feel this happening in my body, I can't eat. But if I feel this, and it depends for some people I can eat around if I have to. Like if when we go away, I a lot of times there's no what am I going to eat in the bathroom? Like, like it's hard. First of all, calm determination is one of the hardest determinations I feel like to have because we've been so homogenized together when we eat. Unless I
And to like talk
and to
while you're eating.
talk. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really hard to talk while I'm eating. Um, which I know is the thing for calm people too. But it's like, but I love going to gather and be around people and like have like a drink. Like I can have like a drink out. Drinking is fine for me. It's the act of my mouth doing this that
Hmm.
becomes a thing.
I mean, there's also people who have indirect light or whatever. It's like they'll spend their whole day drinking
Mm-hmm.
drinks, and then when the sun goes down, it's like food time.
Yeah, there's ways to work. There's things you can do. There's ways like
But
to
yeah,
still be
drinking and
human.
eating are drinking doesn't count
Drinking doesn't count. It does. I
unless you're appetite, and then it does. Single ingredient drinks, single ingredient foods.
yeah, my how do you feel about smoothies? Well, you're alternating, so
Hmm, that's a
but how do
funny
you feel about
question.
smoothies?
Just from my life,
Like well,
as far as single ingredient foods
yeah,
go,
yeah, with like your digestion and stuff.
it's I don't really do a lot of smoothies. It's funny because I worked at a smoothie place for over a decade, um, and I'm really more of a juice person. And I would always want the, for my you'd get a drink every shift, and I'd just be like, just give me straight watermelon juice or
Mm.
straight celery juice or something. I
Mm-hmm.
was really into the the culture of the company was just like, who's got the coolest smoothie ideas? Like, see,
You're like, I don't want
what's
to put
your
all those.
personal, what do you do with your smoothies? It's like, I drink watermelon juice is what I do. And it's funny because that was before I knew anything about human
Well,
design.
yeah, you're still being you.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's right. When you're doing things that they say are correct or whatever, and you're actually doing them, there's confirmation there, like, oh, well, for me, it boils down to, oh, you're telling me I'm doing something right as a third line, like, oh, well, now I'm going to continue, especially as a generator. Now this is something I can continue consistently doing because it's now confirmed to me that it works. That's what human
Mm-hmm.
design shows you, what works for you and what doesn't. So once I know something actually does work for me, that I'm going to lean as far in as I possibly can lean. Like
Yeah.
when the pandemic happened and everything got locked down, my calm determination was like, holy shit, this
Uh,
is this is the moment. This is the moment when we can officially start fully living as our true selves and just eating alone in our bedroom.
it's your time to shine.
It really,
Look out, world.
it
You're
really, I know, and I'm not here. Sometimes my open solar plexus can seem very, I'm either too sensitive or super insensitive. Not trying to do that to anybody, but I have to say, the pandemic really was great for me.
Oh, me too.
Like, not to knock anyone that had any hard times. I totally understand what most people had to go through, but for me, on a personal level, it really just allowed me to finally be my true self and not care.
I mean, remember, I started human design in
Yeah,
in
as it was
January
happening.
January 25th, and the pandemic started on March 12th, my birthday.
Oh, wow.
Um, so it was immediately like, okay, and here you go with like being in your own aura and having all
That
this
was no
time to
coincidence either. I don't know if you've thought
absolutely.
about that. I've had a lot of thoughts, and I guess this could be one of the places we can end up, but I had a lot of thoughts around like that we were forced to not be able to be 6 feet apart. Like that's literally your aura. So we were all like going through this heavy global deconditioning process that nobody
and
knew they were going
and
through.
exactly 7 years before the
Right.
mutation.
Exactly. And but that
So
is when Raw said it was all going to happen. He said it will start in 2020. And then once everybody went on lockdown, I literally said to myself, because I had nobody else to say this to, because at this point I had not started my human design business. So I was just talking to myself. And I said, this is it. I said, this is it. We are entering the shattering phase of the transition of 2027. That's what I
yeah,
believe.
and y'all about to find out. So
Okay, so I do have a question though for you. What do you how do you feel? I'm going to let your emotions come to this front and center for a second. How do you feel about people that don't agree with or don't understand 2027 or don't think it's important?
I haven't met any of them yet.
Oh, you
I mean,
haven't?
well, I
Because
mean,
I
I don't
have.
talk about it with with normies. Like, I don't go around like telling muggles about 2027 or about human design for that matter. Like, I don't. They can ask me. They know that I'm into this weird thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. I post on Facebook now. I'm not like hiding in the human design shadows. So
Mhm.
yeah, I just don't. I don't haven't had those conversations yet.
Hmm. I've had a few. And I just tell them, well, then if you don't want to know about it yet, then just wait. You'll find out. It's it's happening whether we want it to or not.
Yeah, yeah, and it obviously everything's different forever.
Right. That's That's the
but
thing is I'm like, well, you see things are changing now, right? It's like, now I'm going to tell you everything that's going to change. And then you just sit with that information and just watch it. You don't have to believe me right now if you don't want to, but it's happening. And I have been correct as to what would happen, where people said that we would be back in like 3 weeks. I was like, that's not, I was like, it's going to be two
mm,
hard years of figuring this out. And then we're going to open back up for a little bit. And then this, we're actually we're approaching our huge shift with Pisces moving into Saturn. And then Pluto is going to move into Aquarius, which is going to be the biggest shift, I think, once Pluto moves into Aquarius, but it's only dipping its toes. But I feel like that's like the trailer. Pluto and Aquarius is going to be the trailer of 2027. It's like the up and coming, like here's what's going to happen. And we're gonna have a huge glimpse into the future with that.
wait, we have a huge glimpse when
Pluto moves into the
when
into Aquarius. Because it's gonna retrograde back.
how's the oh the I see. So it doesn't.
It's
I see
not
what you're
fully,
saying.
yeah. So
So
that's
first we get the glimpse, and then we get the.
because then it's not going to go back in. And I told, don't quote me on this because now I can't remember. It's either 2024 or 2025, which is like right before, and that's when that's when the huge shifts are going to happen in 2020.
So Aquarius is at the end of the 60th gate. So do we dip into 60 and then go back, or do we make it all the way to 41 and then
No,
retrograde?
we're going to go back. We're only going to be in Aquarius for like 3 months. It's going to be it's a very short trailer. It's
Okay,
going,
but yeah, Aquarius starts in like the sixth line of the 60th gate, and
mm-hmm.
then you get 41.
But okay, so let's finish up with this. If there was anything that you could share with human design that you find important, that's like the number one important thing with human design, what would it be?
uh First thing that comes to mind is just that it's, and that, we've all heard this so many times, but it's experiential,
Mm-hmm.
and the knowledge is secondary, and it's like all about frequencies and being aware of frequency based stuff. It's not, the knowledge is just kind of fun,
Mm-hmm.
and we get all obsessed with it. But then, like I said earlier, it's like when you find yourself, when the knowledge is when you've overfilled on it, be aware of that, and don't feel like don't get any kind of way about it.
Mm.
You're never gonna escape from human design. If once you get in, if you're that excited about it, like, just wait, because it keeps coming back.
You're in
um
it, you're in your experiment, whether you like it or not, in some sort of way. It just depends on if you have the awareness around it or not. You're still living out your design in some way, is what I'm saying. Whether you know you are or you're not. Just if you have the awareness around it, maybe give yourself a little grace on wherever you're at with it. Like if you do, as you said that you beat yourself up in the past about taking breaks. I think it's important to take breaks with this information. It's very dense.
just to know that they are breaks.
Mm-hmm. Call it a break.
Not to feel pressured to like know
Every
anything. It's like to know everything, but even to know anything, 'cause it's not about like how much of it you know. That's the main thing.
Well, thank you.
Mm.
Thank you for your innocence, wisdom. I love innocence people. You guys just like show me that it's like looking at the other side of what I'm not. I enjoy it. some desire. So thank you for coming and sharing your knowledge and wisdom and waves with us. They were fun for me to watch. Definitely watch this
What
on YouTube because
waves?
there was a few fun moments for myself. So I feel like you guys would enjoy them as well. So definitely check out the YouTube portion. And Dave, let everybody know where they can find you.
Neutrino Radio is my handle and my brand. Um, and it's NEUTRINO dot radio on Instagram. And then otherwise, it can be found at capital NEUTRIN capital O capital T. Sorry, O. No, let me do that again.
Okay, we'll cut that
Capital
part out.
NEUTRINO capital RADIO no space is another way to do it. And
Okay. Or what you could
YouTube.
do is just go to the
Excuse me.
description down below and you'll find it right there because we'll
Will you
make sure.
just link me?
Yes,
Just link me up.
we'll link Dave up. He's going to be everywhere. He's going to be on the podcast, on the YouTube channel, wherever you want to see his face. And he's also going to be, you know, doing some stuff behind the scenes. So I'm just going to plug him right here. If you need someone, he makes beautiful human design content. He will take all of your stuff and surprise and delight people with his 51 and his gate 9 of detail that is hidden and scattered throughout everything he does. I see it. So if you would like that for yourself, definitely go DM him. Are you open for business to talk to people about this?
I suppose. Yeah, I do video. I do video editing, and I'm open to the idea of
Open to the idea.
doing that for other people if it
Yeah.
seems like a good
Fit.
fit.
Cool. So yeah, and you'll be able to see some of that. We'll definitely make sure that you guys know any of Dave's branding on our work so that you can get a little glimpse of what that looks like. But definitely go check out his work because it's amazing.
Neutrino Radio.
All right. Bye, guys. I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Krystle and I are really here as defined hearts to provide value to you with our unique insights. If you have found any of this episode valuable to you, we ask that you share with a friend, tag us with a highlight on Instagram, and write us a review so we can reach more people. Human design and astrology are tools to guide us toward our transformation. You are a unique and beautiful being, and we encourage you to let that light inside of you shine bright. See you in the next episode, friends.